Then at my level, I know if I picked and called the head of inspectorate and said, could you go and do something about that right now? He is more likely to go running than if he's dealing with somebody who might not have that power or authority. So we have actually proceeded. We are in the process of distributing the sub-counties. Why that is important is because we want, at that level, which is just below the governor, somebody to be able to look at the issues of outdoor advertising and how many billboards are you putting here, causing clutter. You've just raised the issue, and I can say it's really an eyesore. But while we were doing it today, the MP of that area was saying that, you know, those are our people who park their matatus there. Please don't remove them. That's what he was saying. Please don't remove them. So whereas he might want a clean, neat car, another political force is telling the governor, you must provide an alternative. And so I insisted on coming with the MCA and told him, let's go through the market, because I think there's a solution here. There is a market in Westlands, as you know, where the social hall is. There's a lot of space. There's proposal to do a new market. And I'm not making a speech, I'm just giving you a quick update. So the whole idea is where this market is supposed to be, you know, the one with the metal stilts. Then to put the new market there and reseed it. And then at the frontage where you have a social hall, build a bus stop. Now that does two things. One, you then are able to legally and morally tell everybody on the road, get out of the road, that is a bus stop. And everybody who is selling clothes on the side of the road, you are also able to tell them, get out of the road, that is the market. And that's why I came with him, and we've done a tour just before we came here. So I know my colleague, Dr. Janita, I've seen her here, who sits in our cabinet, is possibly a member, because I know she lives around here. But together, there are ways in which your pain points can be quickly isolated and addressed. We know that sometimes, there was a time I was in charge of urban planning, and I pointed out, it was very brief, you know, under the previous government, we used to be rotated like every month. But I said, there's a letter from KLDA every day objecting to this and objecting to that and objecting to that. But you have Muthaiga Residents Association, you have the Runda Residents Association, and they also have issues, but they don't have a tendency to object to everything. So you must at some point also introspect and say, what can we live with and what can we not accept? Okay? So like noise within the residential estate is complete no-no. But if somebody has 1 acre fronting Langata Road and wants to do a commercial investment, and everything that comes from here is no, we refuse and we decline, then everybody begins to say, oh, you know, that's the boy crying wolf. But we're here, we're at your service. I was telling these people there are 5 million Nairobians. There's no particular reason why I should be the one to sit in that position of CEC. So it's a position of service. So if we could be able to identify the pain points that have clear solutions, then we can help to ensure that we leave Karen to be the Karen that we used to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Samara, I think we were also, as Kerich was speaking, we were joined by another CEC, and the CEC is the waziris of the county. And with us here is Dr. Anastasia Nyalita. She can greet the people as well. Thank you.
Asante Mheshimiwa, our area MP, my fellow residents of Karen, my colleague Kerich, karibu sana Karen, twakupenda sana. You want me to from there? Down here. Up. I can do. Okay, so yeah, so my name is Dr. Anastasia Nyalita. I'm one of your residents. I live in Karen Plains. I'm also with the county government of Nairobi. Kerich is doing his third time or second time as a CC, so he's a seasoned waziri. I'm a first-time CC. Initially, I joined in on matters health, coming from private sector. Some of you in the private sector, you know me from KEPSA, Kenya Private Sector Alliance. I've seen my former boss, bosses, Rashid, a man who was a CAS Minister of Health. Yeah, we worked with him a lot when I was private sector, Kenya Healthcare Federation. I've been in the pharmaceutical industry for very many years before I went to KEPSA and then now down to the county government of Nairobi. As I said, I was initially responsible for health, but now I'm responsible for the reason we're here, which for me ties in very well. So my sector is inclusivity, public participation, and customer service. And in that, it entails, so I have 3 chief officers or 3 subsectors. So the first one is city culture, arts, and tourism. And we're really looking at reigniting the vibe of a city. It is one of the top 10 priorities for the governor. So that we're working to ensure that, the vibe of a city is the best you can get in the world, and along all the work streams, which I won't go into the details. The next one is gender inclusivity, so matters of mainstreaming gender issues, PWDs, people with disabilities, ensuring nobody's left behind in all that we do and provide those services across all the service points, or across all the sectors. And finally, and most important, the reason we're here is public participation. That's a constitutional provision. Citizen engagement, civic education, public communication in the county. I know we've not been telling you the things that we're doing. We're doing a lot of stuff, but now we're starting to get together and make sure that we put something for you, so that the things that we're doing, we start communicating as much as possible to the residents. And we're doing a lot of beautiful things under the governor, His Excellency Governor Sakship, and also customer service. I know you all know, or everybody just remembers the county as a kanjo mentality. We are re-engineering that. We're working at reorientating the way we give your service so that it is very customer friendly. With me is the champion of customer service, of public participation, Patrick. So Patrick is the lead for matters public participation, civic education, and citizen engagement. And we're working on coming up with a framework to ensure that we have a very structured way of engaging the citizens and the residents, and also you have a way of getting back to us. He's done a lot of public participation forums. We have been able to give you a lot of feedback. The latest we did was the one for Barros. Now we're coming up with 5, but in the governor's manifesto it was 5 Barros, but when we did public participation in the Barros, we've had to up that to 6 in number, and maybe he will mention that. The other ones are the statutory ones that we do as a county, which are basically aligned to the budget cycle. So upcoming very soon will be the county strategy fiscal paper, which informs the budgets for next year. So look out for that as well, and I really encourage you as much as possible to make sure you participate to inform the budget for the next fiscal year, among others. So that should be happening on 20th, yeah? And 21st, yeah? So I will leave it at that. In case you have any questions, we are here to serve you, as Mr. Kerich said. Thank you very much.
Residents, it's fortunate to have the both CECs gracing this event. So it looks like our member of County Assembly came with some blessings. Now, we had a program, and we have to maintain that program. And the next thing after question and answer on the noise pollution was urban planning. And the former CEC for urban planning, it's good he's here with his knowledge. He's mentioned something, and I'll just touch on it as we begin the discussions on urban planning. He mentioned that there are many letters that go to his office, which means KLD is working, when it comes to applications of change of user, building approvals, and so on and so forth. Waziri, the reason our urban planner, and I know you're in another docket now, but the reason our urban planner sends these letters of objection to the county is an objection in anticipation. That's what we call it. Because when a change of user is applied, information is not given to Victoria as the urban planner of KLDA. And we all know the wrongs that start with a change of user. So Waziri has said we should not say no to everything, which is the case. We're not saying no to everything. There's the building, Semaster, that's going on now in the Bagathi Ridge. If you ask Bagathi Ridge Residents Association, they had public participation meetings, Dr. Nyalita. They had public participation meetings. And they agreed with Semaster, who I think had wanted 8 floors, and they scaled it down. They scaled it down because the Bagathi Ridge Residents Association wanted to keep the character of their area as residential. Waziri, again, you talked about Langata Road. Fine, the road frontages, commercial. Even the new plan stated that Langata Road from Bomas all the way to Karen, the front acreages are commercial and they go 3 floors. Again, we should ask ourselves as residents, fine, it's commercial. But residents have raised the question, there are 10 petrol stations from Bomas to Karen. Now, everybody has the right to do what they want with their property, especially if it's commercial. But where are the regulations? We met the chief officer, Karen County Secretary, and he also raised his concerns with that. So it's not that we're saying no to everything, but we have to say no to what we don't know. So if you want a change of user, and the county is here, I think the first point that the county should do is advise planners or developers, share your plans with the office, and the KLD office is going to share those plans with the nearest neighborhood association. That's the procedure, and that is the reason why I mentioned, in this meeting we're passing resolutions. And it's a good thing we have the CCs here, we have our MP here, we have our MCA here, we have the Nairobi County here. This is a sensitive matter. We all know, Parliamentary Service Commission. My God, I feel for those people who live around that area. You've invested your hard-earned money, and then boom, the same people you pay your taxes to, come and set up that 8-story floor building. I talked to those people oftenly. We went to court. There was a procedure that was not followed. Unfortunately, we lost that case. But then what happens? The problem started at that change of user that was issued to the county, by the county. So what are those people supposed to do? Move out. Waziri, you mentioned that when you grow up, you want to come here. Imagine a situation where Waziri comes here, invests his hard-earned money, and then someone comes up, Jalango, someone comes up and sets up a bar right next to him. Guys, it's not much for us to ask that we need some order. It's not much to us that we need some order. This is not an issue just affecting Karen. We were with Runda Association yesterday. We were with Lavington Association yesterday. We were with Nyayo Estate Embakasi yesterday. We were with Roslyn yesterday. We had a meeting at Lord Errol in Runda. It cuts across. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning, we're not here about talking about other estates and other neighborhood associations. We're here to talk about Karen. And we have discussed noise, and now we're at urban planning. The change of user procedure that we're asking, Daktari, public participation. There are a couple of change of users that have been issued. Victoria, you can bear me witness. Victoria, please stand up. Victoria is our urban planner at Karen Langata District Association. All plans and change of users that want to come into
passes through her. Now, there are some that we have accepted as an office, because it's not up to the chairman or Mburu as the secretary of the committee to approve. We do not have those powers. It's the neighborhood association that we ask, are you okay with that change of use? What are your reasons? We have restaurants, Jalango, you mentioned that they should not allow bars and restaurants within their vicinities. I can say it today, there are some restaurants that have been given the okay by some neighborhood associations because they follow due procedure, they mitigate it, they say this is what we don't want here, this is what we want, you can set up your restaurant. There are commercial buildings, as I've mentioned in Semaster, that were allowed by the neighborhood association. So it's not a blanket no that we are saying. We just want some order. And the ones that we say no, it's a no. Even for social amenities that are needed. An example is a school. I got a lot of heat from the residents who live next to Waldorf, and I'm sure some of you have residents who live around there. I mean, who does not want children to learn? But the question is where these children learn. There needs to be some order. And I think this is now when we invite our sub-county administrator to talk about urban planning. In urban planning, we also have issues to deal with sewage spilling. I take some jogs at 5 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes, I kid you not, the stench that you feel from some of our residents, as the MP is saying, this is the first Baraza we're having. And I'll tell you that there are some residents who are spilling sewage into the drainage systems. Now, residents, we're here to demand on what the county wants, but surely there are some things that we are doing, as our MP is saying, that are affecting us. So we need to ask ourselves those questions as we're discussing urban planning and environmental matters, and they'll tell you what they've been doing when it comes to environment and urban planning. We need to ask ourselves, what are we doing? We have a local physical development plan. We're trying to review it right now. We're trying to get the county to buy into the idea, and it's good the CECs are here representing the governor. Graham Alder, the former chairman, in 2005, the reason Karen is what it is today is not because of the who's and who's, the former CS, Rashid, and the others that we have. It's not because of the who's and who's that live in Karen is why it has remained a leafy suburb. It's because of something called the Local Physical Development Plan. Now, I know it sounds like jargon. It's abbreviated to LPDP. When I joined the committee in 2016, I had no idea what the chairman was talking about. This is the important document that has guided development in our area. And what we're asking the county today is what do they need from us to make sure this LPDP is followed. The LPDP is what says in Professor Dagwada's place, what's the minimum acreage? How many heights can you go? What's the plot ratio? Can you set up a commercial entity here? As Wazir was saying, on Langata Road it's commercial. But inside, in Miotoni inside, such things are not allowed. There's a document. And I don't blame all of you if you don't know it, because I told you when I first got into the committee, I had no idea what that document was. But that is what has been preserving Karen as a leafy suburb that it is. That document was in place from 2005 up to 2015 and up for review. We've been working very closely with the chief officer for planning, and we got to the point where we even advertised an intention to start the review, and that was last year. I think you also an advertisement in the papers, for those of you who follow closely KLD matters. That review is what's meant to. In 2005, the local physical development plan said this area is 1 acre zone. Now, it's been almost 20 years. Are you going to accept it to go down to half? The LPDP said 2 floors max. Are you going to allow another third one? This is the public participation that we wanted to start carrying out. And unfortunately, by the time of this meeting, we have not started that review. But it's good we have the CC, especially for public participation, because I think this is where she can go and probably push for us to have this document reviewed. Professor Bunye, this is what's going to dictate whether a wedding garden can come next to you or whether it cannot, because there's a gray area. Madam Janet, I'll give the floor to you right now.
Before I call the officer who is in charge of that docket, allow me to...
There's a Prado KBU 953L, your lights are on, and I think after this event you'll want to go home. So if you want your car to start, KBU 953L, your lights are on.
So allow me to say this, sir. The county government of Nairobi, through the leadership of our governor, Sakaja, is on the forefront to provide a conducive environment. So if there is any club, any church, or anything that is making noise in your neighborhood, bring that list to Davis, to Christine, and we will ensure it has been acted upon. You can as well take my number, call me anytime, feel free to call me anytime, 0721. Yes, my name is Janet, 0721 769629. 0721 769629. And Karen residents, you are lucky to have an able leadership. I've worked in several sub-counties, and I can say KLDA leadership is one of the most vibrant and vocal associations that I've come across. Can we give them a clap? Yeah, and I'm not campaigning for them. It is very true. They give us sleepless nights, not in a bad way, but to ensure that law and order is followed. So karibu sana, Joseph Alal, you take us through urban planning.
Yes, our CEC present, our area member of parliament present, and the MCA for Karen Watt, and the member of public. Good evening. I'm Joseph Alal. I'm in charge of urban planning, Langata sub-county. Now, before I start, is just to remind you on two areas. And these ones are coming from our Excellency, the Governor. There's a small comment, and I think it's becoming big, that let's make Nairobi work. From planning, you can only make something work if you have plan for it. So I think that word alone, from here, you should start looking at it as a planning agenda. Number two, there are some few words. If you pass by our office there, you'll see the word order, opportunity, and dignity. There's another one, but I want to measure on those three first of all. What is order? How do you create order? Now, planning starts from the house where you stay. How do you arrange from your door to your bedroom? That's already an order. Now, if one wants to do a building, where does this person go to? Or where do you start from? You start from the word order. Then dignity. I think in our constitution, it is enshrined that everyone has a right to have a house. So when someone has a house, then he has a dignity. Then the last one is opportunity. We are here in this particular place because of opportunity. Maybe the person owning this ground will get some money out of this, or any other thing. So it has created opportunity for that person. Or those who brought this tent here must go with something, so there's an opportunity. So if you look at those two statements, they are very strong when it comes to planning issues. Now, I'll start from one item which is very serious now here, is the change of user. I will just remind you on why we talk about change of user in Karen every day. One, if you look at the history of Karen from those days to today, you'll realize that there were few facilities, especially these commercial buildings. It was meant to be a residential zone, but things changed. It is the residents who created the change, not Nairobi City County. How did it come? Someone approached the county that I wanted to do maybe a shop, because there's a need of a shop in that area. Then this issue of change of user came. Someone wanted a club and so forth and so forth. So why do we go for this change of user? Is to change the initial use to a new use. And it is a requirement. You cannot run a club from a residential area to a club. You must get a change of user. And the change of user has got conditions. It's not just an open document. One, when you submit an application for that document, we ask you several questions through a format stated on that document that give us the location of the place. Give us A, B, C, D. Then we look at those informations. After looking at them critically, then we ask you to go and do a public participation on that document. What are you going to do with it there? You are going to your colleagues or your neighbors there to ask them, can I have a kiosk, a restaurant here? Then they can give you a green light or not. When they decline, we don't issue the permit. When they agree, then we issue the permit. And that permit now legalizes whatever you want to do from now residential to commercial. I hope I'm clear there. The second one is building development permission. What is it? When we talk about development permission, is the approvals you get to do your development. Now, it's also not an open document. There are conditions. One, you must have a title deed for that particular piece of land. Secondly, there's a specific size of that land. For example, in Karen, it was 1 acre. Those days. Today is a half an acre. I don't know whether you people will allow a quarter, then an eighth. But currently, what we are receiving is minimum is a half an acre. Right? Then the third one, we ask you to identify the architect, a registered architect, to do those plans and submit on your behalf. But again, we look at whether you have paid the land rates or not. So that these are things we look before we issue with a permit. In a case where you want to do a petrol station, we must ask you a change of user. It will accompany those other documents I've stated. Then we allow you or we don't. And again, we look at what the chair was saying on the issue of plot ratio. We look at the volume. We look at other facilities. If you want a 10-flat building, we must look at the existing facilities. Do we have an existing sewer? Do we have an existing water distribution? If not, then we tell you no, it's not possible, because look at your tenants, the potential tenants, or the owners of those units. Will they have where they'll get water? Will they have where they can take other things? Will we have parking, enough parking? Then if it was sufficient, then we don't allow such approvals. And therefore, we only look at those conditions. And again, remember we have a PLUPA, that is Planning and Land Use Physical Act of 2019. It has got all those conditions. So you have to meet those thresholds. Then we can allow you to move to the next level of now having the permit. Then you can do your construction. We have what is called zoning of development plans. What is zoning? If you look at the previous local development plans, where we had commercial We had single dwellings, we had then mixed use developments, we had industrial zones. So this zoning, I remember there were some areas in Karen where you could not have two houses within one plot, right? That came because of the zoning policy. One house, one plot, right? So zoning is key in planning. Like lately we are trying to come up with a plan for Langata, actually Langata sub-county, on where we are going to have the commercials, where are we going to have industrials, if we must have them here, where are we going to have mixed use developments, and then single dwellings. The fourth one is extension of user. Supposing someone is having a petrol station and then he wants to incorporate a shop or a restaurant, this person is advised to get an extension of user now to accommodate the shop and the restaurant and so forth. So it's a must. It's not that we're pleading, it's a must. The fifth one is the statutory inspection for constructions or developments. It is important to note that once you have obtained those documents from the county government, we must come to do what is called statutory inspection. What are we doing? We don't collaborate with the contractor. We are there to serve the interests of the developer, right? We look at the quality of what the person is doing. We look at the materials, and this is key, especially for clients who are not able to supervise the works, because us, we come as a regulatory, but the contractor is coming to implement the work. He may decide to take shortcut, but when you call us for the statutory inspection, then this issue of building collapsing will end. And if you don't call us, we'll assume that you are competent enough to do your work, and then if something happens, I think you are not supposed to blame the government, because it is in the Constitution and it is in our acts. Number 6 is the occupation certificate. Once the building is completed, you've done all your construction works, you feel now it's complete, and the architects and the engineers approved it for occupation, you must come for occupation certificate. The importance of occupation certificate, one, you can use it as part of the document when you want some mortgage. Maybe you want to develop somewhere and you want money, you want money from the bank. So you must get that document so that it assists you in securing some money. Again, it gives a bill of health that the building is safe. You can occupy it, right? So it is important, once you have done your building and you think it's true, it's complete, and the architect has certified it that it is okay, come for the occupation certificate from us. Number 7, there's this narrative of public participation for change of user. I think, Bwana Chair, this one comes back to you guys, because we must be very honest. Before you submit application for change of user, the second time, once you have done the advert, we require you to provide us with signed copies of memoranda or any submission from the residents. And in most cases, they come with documents signed. Now it is you people to tell us, those who are signing, are they from Rakaren or they're from somewhere else? Right? It is a mandatory, and Victoria will tell you, for any document to go through, we must receive those documents signed and even attached contact and the ID number. Number 8 is, how do we receive complaints from the residents? It must be in written form, right? You must do it officially, because we account for every document you give us. And we cannot come to a complaint just because you have called, because we don't know the wrangles between you and your neighbor. So we advise the public to do a written complaint. From there, we'll be able to act, and in case of any issue, we are taken to court, we are able to justify that the complaint came from so-and-so, we confirmed it was genuine, and yes, the document If you call us, minus written, complaint, how do we respond? So we must change the way we do our business. And I must appreciate the chair because we've been receiving several letters from the residents through his office, and we've been acting. Number 9, I would want to inform you that we are using around four documents. That's PLUPA 2013 of PLUPA 13 of 2019 is an act of parliament. Again, we are using Constitution 2010. We are using the regulations, and then we are using again and then we have legislation from our county assembly. This aid us in processing applications for development, change of user, and extension of use. The last one is naming of roads and barriers. I think this is another area we must be very careful. There's an issue coming from residents now in Karen. They just create those barriers without our permits. It is important that when you want to do a barrier, let's say in an estate, please get our permit. And naming of roads. I think it is important again to note that, because if we allow everyone to just decide on which name is going to give this road, then we will not be able to have that conducive environment to do our business or to live in Karen, because someone will come with his own name, another one with his own name, and then things will go haywire. I wish to stop there.
You can see we have an able secretary, the timekeeping. Mr. Alal, thank you so much for that presentation, and I think the residents now understand on matters change of user and urban planning. But I want to say this. The KLU office secured money in the millions, about 10 million plus, without even the residents chipping in. We have not even come to you yet. Mr. Alal and the Nairobi County and the Wazir is here. Karen is ready, and we want to lead by example. We have a local physical development plan that can be reviewed so that these issues you're facing, Mr. Alal, if an area was 1 acre and it has been allowed by the residents in that area to go down to half an acre as a minimum plot size, through that public participation for that local physical development plan, we've got no reason to complain to Alal. But the reason residents, why there's this gray area right now, and the Wazirs can correct me if I'm wrong, there's a gray area in what policy is being used. We have a local physical development plan that was done in 2005, and the information we have is that a law remains a law until another one comes into place. So the law that is there clearly states that Parliamentary Service Commission should not be there. So we need the Nairobi County officials here to tell us, because it's not an issue that's affecting Karen, although today we're talking about Karen. We want to know what law is being used to approve buildings of that stature in Karen. It's the elephant in the room. Let's talk about it. What law is being used? Is it the PLUPA that he's talking about? Or is it the local physical development plan? The one that we have secured funding to review. So if you live in the Miotoni area, public participation, Victoria and the rest of the Secretariat will organize a meeting and state with the county and state, we are coming to your area, what do you want? Alex Nyaga, we're coming to Bomas, we want to know, how do you want your area in Bomas? Sorry for me telling people where you live. What do you want in the Bomas area? What do you want in Bagathi Ridge? What do you want on Silanga Road? Then we get all this through public participation. Daktari, we get all that information through public participation, and we say, this is what residents want. And then our MCA is here, that's the procedure. It's taken to the county assembly, and it's passed as a local physical development plan. Residents, we are there. The county is here. It needs to tell us, why are we not being allowed to do a local physical development plan? It's going to make their work easier so that we don't have complaints. So that when they're coming to the Karen area, they're coming for tea. We'll invite them for these socials. And I don't think in the next social, or Baraza, we should be talking things to do with urban planning. Because we will have a document that states, when we went to the Mwitu area, the Mwitu residents said, we want half an acre, we want our buildings to remain 2 floors, or, I hope not, they want quarter acre. You know, there'll be a document through public participation that has been passed by the residents and approved by the county assembly in partnership with the county. It is not our mandate. There's this notion, and Allah, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, there's a notion that states that current residents want to do what they want, or they want to control, they want to be the county. We do not want to be the county. We just want to control how our area develops. Yes. If that time comes when we have to allow 4-story buildings, we'll allow it. Didn't we start with 20 acres? For those of you who do not know the history of Karen, it started with 20 acres. Then it went down to the 10 acres. Then when people like me were coming into the area, it was 5 acres. Then it went down to 2.5. Then 1. Then half. It changes. Things change. But the change is what has to be orderly, and that's what we're asking. And for the waziris here, what we're trying to say is, Karen is ready. The association has not even gone to the residents to ask for some funding to support the county. We do not, you know, when we go to the county as an association, I've met almost all the waziris. I'm meeting Dr. Nyalita today for the first time. I've met Karich in the corridors of the governor's office to talk about our rates. I don't know whether he remembers, but I've met each of them. And what we always go and tell them is we do not want to be beggars. We want to know, how can we assist the county make Karen a better place? I'll give you the example, because it's still on urban planning. When it comes to the roundabout, man, we've been trying to fix those matatus. We've been trying since last year. Our MC can bear us witness here. Our MP can bear us witness. We worked with the Ministry of Transport. We've even prepared a place. Our MCA is very, very delicate with the roadside vendors and so on and so forth. But Waziri, you mentioned about a space for the matatus. We have it. Residents, if you did not know, I'm informing you now, there's space where the matatus can move. There is space where the matatus can move temporarily before Waziri and the MCA sort out the issues at the county when it comes to finance and planning and so on and so forth, to prepare a better place for them. But Rome was not built in a day. So as we conclude on this urban planning, before we get to the Q&A, because most of you are asking, where is it? The question should be on change of user. Dr. Nyalita, can we just have public participation? Let the residents know what is coming to our area. Then Victoria, who's very good in English and drafting up those letters, will not do anticipatory objection letters. We will know what is coming to the area. If it's something that's acceptable, we accept. If it's not, we have got no other option but to refuse. If it's issues to do with enforcement, Alal, we know there are some issues with enforcement. Is the Kenya Railways planned rerouter Ngong line? To the county officials here and to our MP, Our MP was very vocal during the inauguration. Mitch, can you place up that railway line that's been proposed? Our MP was very vocal for us. And as I said, I did not know our MP. I only knew him when he came into office and when I came in to serve as a chairman of KLDA, so I'm not campaigning for it. But we are fortunate enough to have a member of parliament who can speak on behalf of Karen residents, which has not been happening for the 20 years or so. He spoke during that inauguration. And he was asking, where's the public participation? There are residents on Mwitu. There are residents on Kerarapo, Mutero. Come down Windy Ridge, down near Tony. Last I checked, when we had a public participation, they wanted to cut off half of St. Christopher's, the frontage, 30 meters inside. When, you know, the thing is, we're not against development, but we're asking, can it be planned? And this is why I'm merging the urban planning and the Kenya Railways planned Nairobi, the Ngong Ruta railway line. It would be beneficial for the residents in Ngong. Let's call a spade a spade. But then when we went for the Kenya Railways meeting at the headquarters that was advertised at short notice, they call us at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Friday. And they tell us on Thursday. Oliver Keeble almost lost it in that meeting. But he was vocal enough to ask the pertinent questions. Right now as we speak, there's no alignment. As you can see from there, it starts from Gong, then Bulbul, then Karen. Now Karen, where you're seeing it, the third one from this side, that's at the police station. Is it going to chop off the police station? Is it going to go through the St. Christopher's from Karen, going to the interchange in Lenana? This is progress for the country. It is. But the question is, where's the public participation? Where is the planning? If you go 30 meters inside St. Christopher's, you're killing the school. Again, Mburu, I don't mean to let residents know where you live. Mburu is rightly affected. Mburu is rightly affected as our secretary. So we are fortunate enough to have Dr. Nyalita here as a public participation waziri and the Nairobi County, and our MP and MCA. We're asking, when it comes to urban planning, consult the residents through the KLD office. Understaffed, that's for us to handle, but you write those letters. We'll find how to do it, because the association has to represent residents. You'll allow me now to go into question and answer for the Kenya Railways and the urban planning. Then we can move on to Kenya Power, unless somebody wants to state something from the panel.
You, Chairman. And again, on public participation, do you know there has been a public participation for every single project that has come up in Karen? Yes. Now this is how they do it. They would call a few people, not even the residents, and have a group of people seated under some tent, write their fake names, and call it a public participation. Not once or twice, if you are in the KLDA group, you've seen me walk into construction sites, even just to ask what is happening there, what is happening here, when was the public participation? And they'll give you a list. In those lists, if you check, not even a single person is a resident of Karen. All right? So, we are requesting the Waziri for public participation to please, if there's any public participation or a purported public participation, let it go through KLDA. KLDA will then get for you, KLDA will then get for you the right members, the right residents. Once we have the right residents supporting a project, then let it go on. But we will not accept any public participation that is not members of Karen Ward. Thank you.
Question?
Thank you. I'm Engineer Duati. I'm also the chairman of Motero and Mohogo Association. I have a few comments and questions to make. First one is on urban planning. We have the 2005 plan, which continues to be in use. But there is a big problem because we are ignoring drainage. Drainage of our entire environment. You subdivide and subdivide, but we forget that the drainage has to go to the river course. So over and above the PDP, we need a drainage master plan. Otherwise, this area will become a disaster. My second point, as an engineer, I have designed roads and railways. And quite honestly, this proposal to have a commuter line to Gong dream. It's a good idea, it's a wild dream, because it has to be seen in the context of the entire transport network. If you move at random, you go to Thika Road, they started doing some BRTs. Where are they now? They have not been implemented. It's a waste of money. So if you want to do a railway line, is it a standard gauge railway line? Is it standard? It is the small railway line, the small thing, isn't it? The old gauge. No, not 1 meter. If it's a meter gauge, there is nothing to connect. No, it can't be a meter because it's connecting to the old one. So the old one is only 3 yards, 3 feet. So there is a standard gauge and the old gauge. So there is a need to do a proper feasibility. Let us look at the designs. We are capable of looking at the designs. We don't need just a single line. We can look at the design and the feasibility, and we are going to make comments. So please provide the documents so that we can make constructive comments. We don't mind improve the transport network for the city, but it should be based on something which is realistic. We don't want it to be another deadline like the one from Nairobi to Naivasha. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Isaac. First of all, I want to disagree with the chairman with the sentiments that this is not a political meeting. I think there are intones of political decisions made, and we cannot avoid mentioning them. So although it's not a political meeting, there are certain decisions which have been made with political intones. There is a word here which has not been used: impunity. The word impunity by either the government, the central government, or the county government. And I will give you an example. In planning, because you are talking about the market at the roundabout. I've been living here for the last 45 years. I know when we had one shop and one butchery which was taking care of our workers. And it was by agreement. Now it's a big market. The truth of the matter is, the people, the hawkers at Karen roundabout, they don't come from Karen. They don't come. But they have one property which is very important. They have a vote. They were brought here to vote for somebody. I don't know who. So when you are trying to sort out the problem of Karen, you must also think about that political angle. There is somebody somewhere, a conflict of interest. He has brought those people. You cannot do anything about it. And they are there to stay. And they don't come from Karen. They don't even come from the neighborhood. They come from very far. all the including those taxi drivers. So when we are talking about solving problems of Karen, let us also talk about solving political problems brought about by our politicians. The second point I want to know, is Karen under county government or under the central government? Why do I ask this? I live on Bagadi Ridge. I like walking my circuit of 5 kilometers. I don't have a walkway. But when I go to the other side of Karen, Masai, and the Kasukuli, they are super highways with water drainages. For the privileged. So are we different from this area to that area? Why do a super highway on a lane? And yet you are planning, Mr. MP. Now, where I live, we have a refugee house there, licensed by the county, housing 30 trafficked children. Now, this facility has no toilet, has no water, is on forest lane. We have complained about it, but some wiring and networks have been done, and they have said it was approved by so-and-so. And I believe those people, they get money, they raise money out of housing those innocent kids from wherever in East African region. So what I'm saying, Mr. Chairman, which you can see, even when you're trying to solve this problem, please consider the political undertones. They must be get rid of. We can't move ahead unless we remove the impunity from our politicians, from people appointed by our politicians, because they have godfathers. Us, we don't have godfathers. We only have a good place to live.
Buru, let's take 3 more questions, and then we can allow the county and the rest of the team answer. At the back, I can see some.
Thank you. I live on the northwestern side of Karen. I was waiting for the section on roads, but time appears to be moving, and I want to follow up with Isaac's comment, and this is on selective choice and implementation of development projects, where some development is preferred for some people in Karen, yet some other people still in Karen do not get the benefit of that kind of development. This possibly will touch on our honorable MP and also the county government. On that side, we have had 3 road projects. The first one was a 2-year contract awarded in August 2019. It is still going, and I think this is now 5 years, not completed. In between that, 2 projects, by the way, that is on Rhino Park Road. We have had Mudodo Lane and Pepper Lane, which were awarded, I think, in 2022, and they have been completed. But going back to Rhino Park Road, you'd be surprised if you drive on that road. It goes from Dagoret Road all the way to Resurrection Garden, stops there. We have 2 forks, one called Eastern Fork and Western Fork. When you go to the Western Fork, it goes to a particular home and stops there. On Western Fork, there are 4 homes that have been left. On the Eastern Fork, there are 10 homes that have been left. They are members or residents in Karen. They are taxpayers. They are ratepayers. And Mr. Chairman, Bwana Samora, I will address to you physically, directly. You will remember, I think about 2 years ago, I gave you a copy of a petition that we forwarded First to the director of Kura, next to the CS, former CS roads. This is CS Macharia. Personally, I met and he made a promise. You have those letters. Yet, up to today, we are the inferior members of Rhino Park Road, Eastern and Western Fork. The question is, like what Isaac said, there are some people who will get even bicycle lanes, walk lanes, yet others living in the same place are not getting anything. Where are we? Who is our representative who will push this for us?
Thank you. Thank you. Buru, at the back. At the back. Mitch. Buru at the back. Buru at the back. At the back. At the back. At the back.
Like a cheering section. Thanks.
They'll skin your life.
So I don't have a question and I don't have a comment, but I have a demand. We don't need lectures on how things are supposed to work and how your various agencies are supposed to do your jobs. We're actually a very well-informed community. We know our rights, we know the laws, we know the required processes, and we follow them. We're an active community, and we have made the calls, filed the complaints, gone to the sham public participation meetings, and yet everywhere you look in Karen, there is evidence of your failure to enforce and follow the processes. There are matatus taking over the roundabout from Daguerre to Nagong Road, creating pollution and noise. There's sewage running down the drains. There's illegal establishments fixing cars, selling vegetables, selling water from domestic boreholes, creating constant noise. We have roads filled with potholes. We have lights that don't work. As we speak, there's riparian forest in Ololua being destroyed. We pay taxes in high numbers, and we don't receive anything but abominable services from the governments and the agencies you guys represent. And frankly, we're tired of it. So no more words, no more empty promises. We actually demand action. We demand that we do what we pay you to do, and we demand enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Engineer Lawrence Mangerere. I live here in Karen Plains. Having listened to various speakers here, I conclude that we have different challenges depending on where you live. And of course, addressing all those challenges require resources which are limited. We recognize that. I am thinking about my area and the challenges we have there. Informal settlements. Does the county have a master plan for the city to manage the growth of informal settlements? Because I know for planners, there are those planners, those NGOs that are focusing on slum upgrading. So if we do not address the issue of informal settlements, all you can expect is growth in the size of those informal settlements. And when they grow, they will pose environmental challenges. Some of the informal settlements are established in areas where they are blocking drainage. Yeah? And they do not have facilities for sanitation. Then we also have the issues of movement of cattle. And that is all over the city. Do you have, our area MP is here, do you have a master plan to manage this situation? Because, as I have said, the challenges are different depending on where you live. For me, if the government can have a master plan to address that issue, and when you address the issue, we do not want the people who are actively involved in that to suffer. If you have to move people, make sure you move people to places where you do not interfere with their human rights. You know what I'm talking about.
Thank
you.
you. Buru, allow us, because Mr. Isaac mentioned that it's a bit political, and our MP will allow our MCA to speak. We've not had him speak. He'll have his time to speak, but I think it's time we allow him to speak. There are some things that have been mentioned on the vendors, the roundabout, the matatus. He's our member of county assembly. He's the one that was elected, and I think those questions should be addressed to him, and then our MP can also answer them before we move on to the next point of the agenda, and close it also with remarks from our local representatives. Before you say something, Mheshimiwa, there was the team from Kenya Power. They're here. Are they here? All right. I'm seeing.
Chairman, I was wondering, will I have another opportunity to speak, or
you will?
Or this is the time that was allocated?
No. You can answer those questions,
okay.
And then you'll have opportunity for closing remarks, you and our MP.
Thank you. I am happy to be in the forum, and a lot of issues. Much as I came late, I had an opportunity, because I prepared, well, to come to this forum. And as we speak, I am happy that I am not in this forum alone as a member of County Assembly. As envisioned by the Constitution, I am a representative of the people. I am happy that here today we have members of the executive who, by law, are tasked with a mandate of implementation with enforcement. My office does not enforce. My work is to represent the people. So the sentiments that the people are raising here today, I am picking each and every one of those. I will update on those that have been able to get answers from our county executive, including the governor himself. As I said, after our meeting today of groundbreaking, I was keen to persuade him to bring, to come with him to this meeting to see our people, but unfortunately, he had other engagements. But I also took time to take him through some of the issues that are a priority to our people here in Karen. And when I got elected, I remember we had a forum, and the issues that were raised about the Karen roundabout are not new to me. I have seen, people, unfortunately, in the forums, putting it as though I have refused to enforce or to represent and to come up with a solution for Karen roundabout. The truth is, the county has plans. And even today, the plan for the market of Karen Ward is something that if you check in the media today, you will see Governor Sakaja responding to my request that after Mutweni, we put up Karen Market. Public participation has been done, and I have been following the communication on our WhatsApp forums. And the initial plan that we had of having a 4-story building, I went back to the county and I told them, look, and it's following some comments on the WhatsApp forum that I follow keenly. We have reviewed the design so that we have an open market that will accommodate more people, and so that we also don't have trouble like the trouble we had at Karandini Market, where you put people in a market and tomorrow they have left. So I think we are at advanced stages. And at the county assembly, when we were passing the budget, I was very keen to ensure that we had a budget for building the Karen market. The truth is, the head of the county government of Nairobi is seriously committed to helping me and helping the people of Karen deliver on that mandate. So as far as the hawkers are concerned, once we have the design and the BQs ready, Samora, I will be sure to share it with you. But I'm hoping that this time round, based on the remarks and the feedback that we got from people, we will be able to move ahead, advertise, tender for that market. Our honorable member of parliament was asking me whether we have any timelines, and I don't want to stand here and lie and say it's a week or two, but we are closer than ever before. I know people are tired of this story of market, but it never comes. This time round, I am confident that by the time we are done with this year, And we have a commitment from the county that construction upon breaking ground will take 6 months to complete each and every of the 20 markets that we are building in Nairobi. So I hope that that is sufficient information that I received, not from anyone else, but from the governor himself today. Number 2 is the issue of matatus. Samora, you mentioned about the space that you had set aside, together with the county government, where we would have our matatus moved to. I don't know, I think that is a question that you will also help me address, because Samora, you told me that you have some financing that you have received to help us, cabro the space. I believe from my side it was okay upon, once we put cabro on the space and then we move the matatus there. So I believe you have an answer for that as well. I have heard about the development master plan, which is another question that I posed to the governor today as we were having lunch. And I asked him, so do I tell the people of Karen about the physical urban planning and development control within Karen? He indeed alluded to the plan that had come up from KLDA, intending to partner with the county to review the the local physical development plan. And he also told me that on top of that, he has managed to secure funding from somewhere outside the country, and he is forming a council to come up with a Nairobi Vision 2050. So I asked him, so what happens with what we had already started at the county? So he's going to get back to me on that, so that if that is coming soon, then we have KLDA involved, incorporated in that council to ensure that the issues of Karen are championed and the review, because it's going to be for the entire of Nairobi. So I will update you, Samora, as far as that is concerned. Rhino Park, I think Rhino Park was a Kura project, and much as I want to avoid going into national government affairs, I am aware. I have met the Kura Director General, brought about, and put it before him about the issue of Rhino Park. And I know the roads. I know Mr. Njogona who lives on that road, and he has called me to see that the road went up to a certain point and never went beyond. That was a Kura project, and it's upon Kura, Honorable Mheshimiwa Jalango, you help us ensure that they complete. And we have seen the presence of Kura within our ward heavily to ensure that they don't do jobs, provide walkways in some areas and miss all the others. The issue of refugee house, I think I will have a side chat with the gentleman because I would want to query that. The issue of urban planning, and I'm glad we have our CEC, Dr. Anastasia Nyelita. I am here to listen, and we must beef up how we are doing our public participation. Because I don't know, and I don't know, Alal, and you help me answer this, because who does the participation, public participation? When somebody wants to put up a building, for example, is it the owner who decides the day to call for public participation? Is he the one who decides who to invite to the public participation? If possible, we can do a legislation that will require public participation to be done by the county. This time not the Department of Planning, because we are not, City Hall has not just become clean, and we know the stories that have been there, just because we have come into office. We still have some elements in City Hall where, individual stomachs are driving them. So if it is possible, by law, we put a legislation, Dr. Anastasia, so that all public participation, Dr. Nyalita, is not done by the developer, is not done by the owner of the, of the property, is done specifically by the Department of Inclusivity and Public Participation, and with us there to oversight. So if there's a gap in that area, and I want to believe there is one, then we can put a legislation in the county, and that's where I sit. My work is to make laws and review laws. I would be happy to move, a legislation of that nature to ensure that because that's where we can only, from where I see, that's where we can curb these issues of developments that are not as per the law. So that We know one person that is tasked with matters of public participation in Nairobi should be the department of, Dr. Anastasia Nyalita. So the gaps that are there in terms of legislation, I will be more than happy to ensure that we have those. Inadequate land for public space is another issue. And today, in our meeting, we also addressed those issues with the governor. And I want to call out to anyone who has information of land that is grabbed within Karen, be it a surrender that was meant for a public amenity. You can forward that information to KLDA. I'll pick it up, I'll submit it to the governor, and the governor is committed to ensuring that we recover all public land so that we continue enjoying enough space, even as we continue to plan for the future of Karen. Thank you, Samuel.
Residents, that's our MCA. He's a good friend of mine, but he's posed another question towards me, and I wonder, am I the MCA? I'm the chairman of an association, Anthony, and as much as he's our MCA, I must say, and the residents will bear me witness, we need to see more of him. Maragu has a very, very interesting ward to deal with. He has got us as residents, who are seen as being up there. I don't know what up there means. And then Isaac, he has got the roadside vendors to deal with. So you're saying it's not a political meeting, but we need to bring in the intonation of politics. That's what Maragu has to deal with, and it's the elephant in the room. And I'm going to help him talk about it. Those roadside vendors, when we as residents are driving, we think, it's an ISO. They need to be dignified somewhere and so on and so forth. When he goes to ground to meet them, and there's also this notion that says we up here do not vote, they vote, he probably give them more attention. Maragu, allow me to just talk about this the way it is. It's not easy. It's not easy for him. He has to think about us and think about them. And this is how he threw the question back at me. Now, we met with the Chief Officer for Mobility and Works, TIROP, and this was last year. And we met on site, and we went through the roundabout, and we said, what do we do about this? We need to identify space. I had some questions. I had some questions during the Q&A, and you were asking, where is this space? It's a road reserve opposite the Big Smoke, for those of you who know, where the water trucks park. Where the water vendors are. The lorries. You can see how it's a big space. So as the CEC or Finance is planning on the market, and the governor has given us a promise of 6 months, I'm a contractor, I don't know how that market is going to be built in 6 months, but we'll be optimistic. What can we do now before the vision of 2050? We went with our MP there, and he said this can work for now. Now, as you're saying again, Isaac, there's some politics to deal with. When we prepared the site with Maram, because that's what the county asked, when we met with the CEC then, Mr. Mbogo, he asked, what can you as the association do? And he said, we pay rates. And he said, we need to support each other. So the association organized a Maram, they organized the machinery, the place was done. Now, unfortunately, at that time, if we're in good talking terms and more talking terms as we are right now with our MP, I think those matatus would have moved there. Most of us, our workers, use those matatus. Some of us here use those matatus. Before I started driving, I used to use those matatus. So we understand it's a need. But the question is, it needs to be orderly. Now, I do not want to come here and make statements until it's done, because for those of you who have been attending KLDA meetings, the chairman has always been saying, when we meet next time, the matatus will not be there. And I don't want to say that today, but I want to tell you we secured funding from Vivo Energy, because it's all about transparency here. to assist us because they're affected. We all know the Shell at the roundabout and the Java, where we all have our coffees and so on and so forth. They're supporting us to clean the roundabout. The hub as well, who is affected by the matatus and so on, have donated Cabro to the amount of 3 million Kenya shillings. This is through the intervention of the association trying to fix that roundabout. Now my question is, we might not put the Cabro, and I want to shoot this to the politicians here. Unfortunately, the other day, earlier on, late last year, it was a very rainy time. Because of those water bowsers, the area was a bit messed. What Mitch was doing this week was to get some more maram and to level it again. But unfortunately, that was not good maram, and I think Mitch will be working on it again. I want us to, as we said during the beginning of this meeting, we are putting them on the spot. And we're demanding change, so the next time we meet, we're not talking about the same things. When we clear that place, Marago, and we make it a bit habitable, at least for the matatus, KLD will announce it. When we prepare that site again, and the MP can bear me witness, because that's what we are working on. We were even in a meeting the other day. Let them move. It's a political thing. It's a political thing. Maneno ya market, we will wait for it when the time comes. Jalango, we will wait for it. Marago, we will wait for it. CEC Waziri, we are grateful. But let us do something right now, because Rome was not built in a day. KLD will announce it once that maram has been placed. You can see the water bowsers using it. There was no exit culvert. We spent money again through your membership money for those who are KLD members. There's this thing that membership, we should not spend membership money for doing the county's job because we pay rates. It's a valid point. But the question is, if we be hard like that and we do not place the exit culvert, the excuse would have been, there's an entry for where the matatus can go in, but there's no exit. Now there's an exit. Mitch, I'm putting you on the spotlight. We'll do the maram. We'll announce it. I'm telling you now, if the matatus do not move when we have placed the maram, and you drive through, for those who are going to Bomas, those of you who are going to Windy Ridge, Ngong, and so on and so forth, it's a political thing, and the politicians are here. We would have done our part. We would have done our part as the association that's supposed to take care of the needs of us as residents. We've already spent some money for that place. We're going to improve it. And as I've said, we'll announce. It's up to you now as the politicians to make sure, Isaac, they do their political duty and make sure we have a roundabout free from encroachment. There's a notice given out by Kura, for those of you who do not know. It expires on the 24th of this month. We can share it again on the social media platforms and so on and so forth. The county is here, they're aware. Our local representatives are here, they're aware. A notice has been given by Kura that there should be no road encroachment. It's also a legal thing because we had to approach it in a two-pronged approach. We took the matter to court and we sued Nairobi County, NEMA, the police, and we said, look, you need to sort out the roundabout. That hearing is coming on the 19th of February. So we have the court that we're trying to solve that mess, and then we've got the partnerships we're doing with the county. It's a political thing. I've not talked about the roadside vendors because I've told you he's in a difficult position. But Rome was not built in a day. We start with the matatus. And once the matatus move, the roadside vendors are there because of the matatus. Do not, let's leave alone this notion of the market, the 6-month market. Let's leave alone that bit. The people you see at the roundabouts, Waziri Kirich, and I know you want to say something, I'll give you the mic and then our MP. It's not about the market. If you look at them, they're exactly where the PSVs are. And that is why my committee with Mburu and so on and so forth, we realized, what is the problem here? They follow the matatus. For those of you who shop at for vegetables, you've seen where the people who sell veggies are. They're at the far end, next to the market. But the roadside vendors are totally different. And they go where the matatus are, because when the people who are lighting and picking up the matatus, that is their target audience. So we need the support of the politicians. CC Waziri, I hope you will not say that the market will be done in 6 months. Let's give him a chance.
By the way, on that note, we have a school feeding program in the county. We built 10 kitchens in 10 weeks. 10 kitchens in 10 weeks, completed, and they are working. 180,000 children get food every day. So when we want to look for a collaboration, and you keep talking about the 6-month market, it feels like the mood is that it is us versus them. This is your county government. It's not really us versus you. There's no adversarial relationship. But let me point out that if you've done the local fiscal development plan, that I must tell you is a very positive thing. That's a good thing, and that's a basis from which to begin. Because I've had questions being asked about, is there a master plan? You see, when you have a master plan for the whole city, the next step is to extract from that master plan what is known as district plans. Now, the current plan is a district plan. And there is no reason why we cannot take an already well-done district plan, ensure that it is taking care of all the interests, and then integrate it into any other plan. So if you have a ready-made district plan, please share it with us. And I think I would congratulate you, because it means you have already taken the step and gone forward.
Allow me just to interject, sorry. It's not a ready plan. The plan was done in 2005 for 10 years. And what we are saying now, Waziri, is that we want to review it. And we've gotten the funding through public participation. Thank you.
That's a good position. Okay. Well, you can review it. We would be happy to participate.
Residents, you've heard.
Okay. Number two is all these urban planning issues, including development control, subdivision, extension of use. They are all decided by what is known as a technical committee. The technical committee receives all your applications to subdivide your land or to do any control, and then makes a decision. Now, for the sake of transparency, it was decided that that technical committee cannot only have officials of Nairobi County Government. And therefore, for the last several years, half of that committee is made up of county officers, planning officers like our officer here. The other half is made up of industry professionals. So we have a representative of the Institution of Engineers, Architectural Association, and Planners Institute, and so on. And by policy, we ensure that the chairman of that technical committee is not a county official. So maybe what you should be looking at as an association is to be incorporated in that technical committee. So it is possible to say that let's amend this technical committee and bring on board about 3 more members to represent residents' associations. So that way, when every application that is made is available in a portal. The work of that resident association representative will be to look after the interest of the residents association. So that would be a more practical way of going about it, because the representative of the Institution of Engineers looks after the engineering interest, and the planners look after the planning interest, and the architects want to know how long does it take to get an approval. But then the resident association person would be best placed to look after your interest. I think that is a proposal I can take to the governor, and if it is accepted, we can adjust the technical committee bring on board some other resident association. To quickly mention, we also have something known as a street naming policy, and it's called physical addressing and street naming. So what that does is it gives you in Karen, you want to rename your roads in a certain way, you want to put numbers outside your gate and so on. So the policy is in place, and because it might take the county years to go around doing that, again, as an association, we could give you the guidelines and you do it yourself. So that you say the first house on the right is number 2, on the left is number 3, and the next, that way. And then that way you can also get to do a lot of some of these things on your own. So I think those are the few issues I wanted to respond to. I didn't know that you have space for matatus. Some of these things, it would be good to come and say, hey, guys, we have this, can we work together? But let me leave with just one remark. I get the feeling that even when you're here, we're here because we feel that it's, as your servants, it's our responsibility to be here. But could we have more collaboration? It can't be so confrontational that when you sit, it is you people and you people and you people. I think he's mentioned that some of the roads are done by Kura, the footpaths and so on. Some are done by Kenha, some are done by the county. But the truth is, the resident doesn't care whether it's a Kura road or a Kenha road or a Nairobi County road and so on. So more of interaction to find solutions would be more welcome, Chairman. Thank you very much.
I think Waziri is very right on that, and that's what I was saying. When we've met the other Waziris in the county, we have mentioned that we want to collaborate. And that's why we're here. When we were discussing Noise Waziri before we came, we asked, what does Christian need? When it comes to the Kenya railway line, we're asking, can we get alignments, as Engineer Ndwati has said? When it comes to urban planning, the change of views and the public participation, there were MPs saying, can we assist? Can the association assist? So we know the people who are coming to do public participation, Professor Bunyi, they're not coming from the other side. That's what we're trying to say. We're trying to have this baraza so that we can collaborate. And this is what we were saying before you came in, Waziri. We're going to be doing this after every 3 months. Someone was telling me 3 months is too short, but I think it's not, because these meetings were long overdue. Now, before our MP speaks, I think Jalango will allow me, you can make your closing remarks and add what you wanted to say, together with our MCA. We have Kenya Power here, and we have to really take in consideration of time. I think I'll invite Engineer David, who is the personal assistant to the MD and the CEO for Kenya Power. We have been complaining that we've been getting inflated bills. Power surges. Some are not being connected. We are welcoming you, but at the same time, we are ambushing stroke collaborating with you. So we want to know, as Karen residents, how can we assist you? Thank you. Karibu.
Thank you to the leadership of KLDA and the Nairobi County MP, Jalas. Happy to be here and sorry for my late arrival. Maybe straight to it, KPLC has, and the team, this is Nairobi West, we classify this as Nairobi West, and our team is around to take any key issues. But let me go to the tariffs. I think the word inflated bills is a word we want to demystify. We are allowed by the regulator, because we operate in a regulated environment as KPLC, by the EPRA, we only charge tariffs that are set by the regulator. What we use to charge your monthly bills is the readings on the meters. So we take consumption and apply the tariffs from the regulator. If, and I think on the area of inflated, because the word inflated is used where there is a sense of overcomputation or random bills and so on. We have, and if, for example, your premises was inaccessible in a particular month. We have a system of estimation of bills, but which system is corrected when a correct reading is taken? I don't know whether it is a shorter way to say that. So, and we use what we call your past 12 months consumption. So we take that and then we bill. But with the best case opportunity and as an association, we have those routine readings. We take your readings once a month. We could come to your premises to do an inspection, just quality checks here and there. That is how we compute bills. Now, on the issue of tariffs, as I said, we work in a regulated environment. The EPRA did issue tariffs last year, 2023, April, and these are tariffs for 3 years. Just for a quick spot, anybody, and I know most of the people sitting here consume above 100 kilowatt hours a month. The tariff was set at 20.97 per kilowatt hour, shillings. In July this year, now, in the wisdom of course, the regulator and the government in looking at pricing and helping, the mwananchi get this benefit. So the tariff was set for 3 years, but it's reducing for the 3 years. By July this year, we'll move from 20.97 to 20.58, a small reduction of about 60 cents. And next year, July, it moves to 19.08. And then year after in July, it goes to 18.57. So clearly, even when we placed the requirements to the regulator, he looked at them and said, no, we have to travel this way. Just another clarification also. The money KPLC collects is for the entire sector. If I had a chance, we will move from generation, we will move to transmission, we have to do distribution, we have taxes, and we have got levies. All the way from Warma to VAT to the people who own the dams collect, the money KPLC collects on behalf of all these entities. So for example, we have energy contracts with 26 power producers, Kengen and a myriad of others. All the tariffs they also sell us to are also regulated by government through the EPRA. So when we collect money, for example, for every 100 shillings we collect, about 68 of the shillings goes to the generators, Kengen and everyone who generates power, because KPLC only buys and sells. Secondly, we have other players in the transmission space. Ketraco, for example, builds transmission lines, the power lines on towers that bring power from generation all the way to what we call step-down substations. The part of the tariff also compensates the operations and maintenance for those power lines. The third person who collects, and that is now after the 68 shillings, the entities in between share the difference, including taxes, which is at around 20% if you round up the figures. So in the sum total of this, and I've not gone through the entire value chain, some money for rural electrification and so on, it's all itemized on your bills. We then pass this money. We call them pass-through costs. So we are the only customer-facing entity we collect and we pass. I think if I go to the area of outages, and the Nairobi West team did alert me, we do regular maintenance work. One of the biggest impacts on the KLDA side is vegetation management. And I think together with our notices, collaborating with the county government, and you allowing us in places where we need to handle vegetation management, you have been kind enough. I think in the last 1 month, we've done quite a number of operations, and what we are trying to do is really make sure that the lines are on 24/7, and even when we have adverse weather conditions. I do not know whether there is anything I've left out, but we are very grateful to KLDA, the partnership we've had. I think I did a short stint in Nairobi in the COVID year, 2020-21, and I wasn't able to come for the event then, of course, because the public events were locked down. But we are open to keep discussing. Our team, Antonina and her team, our county business manager, Engineer Karaoke, I don't know, is also here with us. And we will be happy to collaborate, and any other ideas you have for us to better our services, we will be willing to. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Engineer. On the Kenya Power issue, I know there are some things that are burning in residents. Before we give the MP and the MCA to close, and I know one of those things, Engineer, are inflated bills. You're used to paying 10,000, 20,000, and before you know it, it's 40,000. I know there's going to be an open day where we'll organize an open week, actually, that we'll organize with Antonina, We've done it before as KLD and as Karen residents, where the residents come and they have their issues addressed at the KLD office or a preferred location. But in the meantime, we'll allow you just to take about 3 questions in regards to Kenya Power.
I would like to ask, my name is Margaret Safari. I would like to ask, why does the power go off randomly? You know, not the planned ones. I'm not saying about the planned ones that are announced online and everywhere. But these power cuts go off randomly. When you are busy cooking in the kitchen at 7 o'clock, the power boom. And it won't come back until the following day at 7 at night. You haven't charged your phone, you haven't seen TV, you can't watch the news, and this goes on every other day, until we are thinking, are we really living in Nairobi or in some jungle in Ethiopia? Sorry to say. It's really bugging. It's really bugging and very annoying. Power cuts at randomly. We say in Kiswahili, holela, kiholela. You know, the power cuts kiholela. You are just, like now we are sitting here, boom, no power until, you know, it's annoying. It's really annoying.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mburu, next question.
My name's Christine Leonard. I'd like to just ask, if the tariffs have gone down, why have the bills gone up? Our bills have gone up a lot. If the tariffs have gone down, how come we're paying more? 62%. Our bills have gone up. So in 1 year. So
thanks, Christine. Mburu, do we have another question, or he can take those 2? Because we now need to.
Then there's one on water.
Yes, we'll be discussing that. We'll be finishing it. Engineer, please answer.
Okay, thank you for that question. I think I touched a bit on the area of power outages, and 70% of all our power outages from analysis are caused by vegetation. Trees, our lines are overhead, I think that we have seen, and in areas, and I think this is where the 2019 Energy Act comes into place, because for trace maintenance now, we are required to, get approval from the owners where trees come towards our power lines. And sometimes we face delays and, someone is asking, can't you underground? Undergrounding power lines is about 4 times the cost of the overhead. And because we do not want to pass those costs, we try as much as possible to maintain overhead lines. So vegetation is a big impact. And as an association, we can collaborate. Even when you do reports, like on our WhatsApp platforms, we can quickly come in and do that. We want to apologize where it comes, and of course it's unplanned. We do our best to do the notices on time. When it is unplanned, you said it takes more than 12 hours to restore? Frequent. I think no, I hear you, madam. I think what we can do is to try probably and work together with you, and if you've given us the area, we can zero down on the place to current planes. We'll take that. The other issue is, and well put, if tariffs have gone down, why are the bills going up? I want to just mention something here. One of the biggest impacts when this tariff was reduced was the forex. Let me explain. About 90% of all our power contracts are in foreign denominated, kind of arrangements. And this is the basic reason. In the energy sector, just for context, the tariff is set such that it recovers the investment, even for generation. So the people who put up the power plants, including Kengen, who is, secured by government in terms of guarantees, when the borrowing is done, whether from the bilateral donors and so on, they'll still, insist that those, loans come in forex denominated. So what happened was, unfortunately so, that we had a situation where we have the tariff coming down, But the month-on-month impact on the forex, you'll see on your bill FAIRFA, forex rate adjustment that is come monthly. For example, in December, which was charged in January, it was almost 7 shillings. For this particular month, it has gone down by half. It's around 4.4 shillings. So that is one of the biggest impacts as a country as this forex adjustment has come in, that we have seen the increase on the bills. But government is having a lot of initiatives, and we are working together with them. One is to try and see whether some of those power contracts, of course, we know they are secured by international commercial law, whether we have room for renegotiation, extension of terms, and so on, so that probably the annual repayments can come down, so that then can be passed to Kenyans. So there are many other initiatives in between. People who have what we call small commercial industries in this particular tariff, we went ahead and we were asked by government to introduce the time of use tariff. This is where you pay about 50% between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. in the morning. Additionally, this particular tariff control period, government also requested us, we requested government to allow us to have an e-mobility charging tariff, which is also gone live. We are working with EPRA to implement it. So I think the tariff area is one big place. And I think as a residents association, and of course, as one of the big players in the whole space, lobbying and so on, is to see how, and working with the Mheshimiwa in Parliament and in the Energy Committee and so on, is probably to see how government can de-risk the energy investments by probably having, there are some instruments that are being used. Let me give the example. At Nakuru, we have a power plant called Socian Energy. It's a private company, but it's being given steam by GDC. GDC is a government entity which prospects for steam and sells. We have seen through some instruments that have been issued to people like Socian Energy, the cost per kilowatt hour for geothermal has even gone below the Kenyan rate. Not because of any other intervention. So we have some interventions that we are discussing with government to help them see how, because an investor will come and charge commercial rates, 6% on loans and so on. But when government comes in and offers some guarantees, some of that goes down. So, Mheshimiwa, anything you can do in Parliament, we will be happy.
All right, I'll just give it to Mburu. Christine, I hope you've understood. Mama Safari, those power cuts, Antonina has set up a very good group, and it's up to all of you here as Karen residents to try and join that group. What it was set up for, it's a KLD KPLC group. So either you join it or you know your representative who is on that group. So when there are power cuts and so on and so forth, it's easily given to the team at KLD KPLC, and I must say it has been effective. And even Engineer David, as you conclude, I might forget to say this at the closing remarks, but the reason we have this meeting today is because of Antonina's support. Antonina, please, let's just up so they see you. Antonina Moira is the head of customer experience. She told me not to say customer service, customer experience. So Mama Safari, you need to look for her. Those power cuts, you need to be at peace when you're cooking at 7 o'clock in the morning. Yes. So we are grateful for KPLC for sponsoring this event, and that's why we had to give them time. I know it has not been exhausted that much, and as I had mentioned, this meeting is about passing resolutions. We've said that for the Kenya Power issues, we can have that KLD KPLC WhatsApp group for the time being. On the tariffs, Christine, you come to me as a smart lady. I'm sure you've understood tariffs and this and this and that. We'll have our open week where residents will be able now to come with all their power issues and reports and so on, and they can be addressed. As we conclude, because we needed to have kept time, everybody has a busy day tomorrow, I'll allow the MP, or should I follow protocol and allow the MCA to speak, and then the MP, and we have our, you said our small governor, to say something, and then we can start here in Mburu, and then we go to Dr. Nyalita's assistant, the MCA, and then Honorable Jalango. So residents, just hold on your seats as we close. Tafadhali, thank you.
Good evening once again. Okay, mine is just a quick one. I think a number of issues have been raised, but I've not had anyone raise a concern on imposters, and we've been having an issue with people purporting to work with Nairobi County, and through the help of some of our residents, we've been able to address some of them. At least we've been able to address that. But I believe there are many more going around purporting to work for Nairobi County, and they don't. So I think it's better when you report it to us. Our offices are always open, and you can always call our numbers. I can actually give mine right now. Mine is 0. Mine is 011 402 22 03. 0114 02 22 03. I believe the sub-county administrator had also given you her number, and you can also call her on these issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I have 1 minute to say something. I know public participation has been spoken of quite a bit. Just to clarify what Hon Mararo said, public participation is not public participation if it involves government, if the secretaries are not there. And my department is the custodian of all records of public participation in this county, and the one mandated to prepare feedback for the same. So I know there's no time. I could just know that within 30 days after every public participation, you should have feedback. That's in the law. So Marara, we have the Public Participation Act of 2015, and we are working on the regulations in this quarter. And we have a public participation officer in charge of Langata sub-county. That means in every meeting, whether by planning, whether by any sector, he should be up. Just stand up, they see you, and maybe you'll get to talk with KLDA, they'll get your number. He's your public participation officer. He should be keeping the records of any public participation happening in Karen area. We'll talk later the other things.
I think we can allow him to give his number.
Yeah, so just please give your number.
When there's a public participation happening in your place,
and,
if Victoria has notified you, we need to call him.
Just to inform you, we have the CFSP. Please, I was working in Westlands and I worked very well with Runda and with Mutaiga Residents Association. They still call me to death. So we can also work with you very well. You can work with my office. We can be ensuring we inform you of any public participation. We keep records, demand records from my office, from him, so that we know we are able to deal with genuine public participation. And in fact, just to tell you, many sectors within Nairobi County are not aware that we coordinate public participation. The Act says my office, planning cannot come and do a public participation without the presence of my office, because my office is the custodian of the records. So I'm looking forward to engaging you a lot with your teams. I'll also leave my number. My number is 0721. I'm the Director of Public Participation and Citizen Engagement, Nairobi City County Government. My name is Patrick Angasa, 0721 140 859, and your local officer should also give his name and his number. Look forward to good engagement. Thank you.
Yes, good evening once more. My name is Dennis Diru. So I'm the public participation officer in charge of Langata, and my number is 0717 250 018. So whenever you have any public participation within your forums, you always engage me so that we can partner. We see the issues which are there, the ones that we can forward the county, so that the relevant sectors that are tasked to handle them, we can share with them their views and they can handle them. Thank you all. Okay, my name is Dennis Diru. My number is 0717 250 018. Everyone has gotten? Okay, thanks.
Thank you. I think, Anthony, now you can proceed.
Thank you, Samora. You mentioned that we have the issue of water that we did not address. I wanted to mention that although I know our MP also has some updates. I saw on the forum today somebody say that we must talk about water. And they said that people in Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company are always telling us they have laid some pipes, water is coming soon. And prior to coming to this meeting, I also sought to understand, what is the current position of water. Northern Collector, which is what has always been the promise for us getting to a point where, we are enjoying at least a fair supply of water. I am informed, and this time the MD was very serious. He told me that the government, the national government, has already given the finances that were pending to go towards, payment of, folks who provided way leaves for the pipes to go through. Payments have been made, and he gave me a date of June. Pipes were laid from Gigiri, where the Northern Collector will be, terminating. Pipes are already in place, although no water is flowing from Gigiri to Kabete, yeah? From Kabete to Udhiru, and from Udhiru to Karen. So those pipes are already existing. Mine, no, they are. I am reliably informed that those pipes are existing, though no water is flowing at the moment. Once the Northern Collector starts functioning, and mind you, through my own pushing in the county assembly, I have been to all the dams that supply water to Nairobi, including Dakaini, and I've seen how far the progress is as far as the Northern Collector is. And we'll be able to move from, the areas that are getting water once a week to twice. So I am calling for patience, and I continue to request the members of KLDA that as we move forward, as Waziri has indicated, that ours is collaboration. Sometimes, and Samora will bear me witness, every time that he has come or he has called on me as a member of County Assembly for Karen, I am available. My work is to speak your language. Remember, I'm the local representative, and when I started earlier, I indicated, had envisioned a few things. And my work is to speak for the people. Janet and her team here enforces for the government. My work is to oversight them. Yeah? So sometimes I see a temperament or an attitude in the forum where every mistake that happens, is brought, it must be the MCA. Sometimes I even saw somebody saying that I had bribes from the hawkers at the roundabout. That is why we don't move them. Surely. Eh? Mind you, my work is not to enforce. It is to push the people who are to enforce the laws to ensure that they are doing that which they are supposed to be doing. My work is to represent, meaning in such forums, I have purpose to ensure that I am here, I listen to KDA, and it gives me business. That was like the issue of public participation, as the director has indicated, is one of the things that I'm going to be running with as soon as we open the assembly, so that we see where the loopholes are. So members of KLDA, I am calling upon you to look at us as partners, ensure that we collaborate. And I'm in this office. Some of the issues that we are trying to address have not just come up when I was recently elected as MCA or when Samora was recently elected to be the chairman. But we are working day by day to ensure that by the time we are coming back to you for accountability, again seeking for another opportunity, you too can pinpoint things that we have been able to achieve together. That being said, I don't take too much time. Thank you so much. I have enjoyed this forum. We continue together. Governor Sakaja is committed, and I can speak for him, because from time to time we talk and we discuss about Karen. And by the way, Samora, I forgot, I will be inviting KLDA soon as we break ground for a maternity block at our Karen Health Center, first of its kind in Karen. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I know we've taken a lot of time, but I wish the residents had sat down until we complete. The hall is almost now empty, but I hope that you will share with them some of the resolutions. But being the first forum, I wish that stayed longer. Just to say one or two, three things about water. Number one, there's more demand now with more homes coming up in Karen, more than they were, and the infrastructure has not even been added. So that's why you see the water ratios is going down and even the pressure is coming low. Because number one, our water comes from Kabete and it is gravity pumped. That means when more people build their homes and connect themselves to the main grid, the water pressure comes low. Then also, there's one thing. Our main pipe that supplies the larger Langata was above ground. And pilferage and illegal connections also affected us so much. When I came in, the first thing we did was to slab our main pipe through the national government underground for 1.2 kilometers. And that helped to stop the illegal connections. That is why there's a bit of more pressure coming in and a bit of frequency when we actually need water. Number three, your boreholes. You know, everybody in Karen decided to put a borehole in their home. That is why our boreholes have run dry. The waterbed is now further down. That's why even in Karen, you can sink a borehole meters and meters down, but you will not get water. Or you have a borehole and there's no water. That is, it's a good problem to have resources to be able to put up a borehole, but at least have some hydrological assessment before you put up a borehole. It will help you to know whether you have water in your area or not. But then there's something special we also did, but this was on a personal level. There's this company called Air Africa who have come up with a new system, a new how you can collect water out of the atmosphere. It's a very beautiful technology that I would really request some of you to go check. I did put one of the machines down here at Karen Seagulls. It's open for viewing. It's an expensive venture, but you can actually go see. It will help a lot. It's very clean water. We were here with the MCA. We tried the system. It's a plug and play. And the person in charge of that machine that will make sure that you don't have any water problem around your home again if you go that direction is called Wilson. Wilson's number is 0728. You could go check the system, and it's a very beautiful thing. 0728 141 425. It's called Wilson. Go check out that technology. It will change how the number again 0728 141 425. It's a new technology that has come. It's a reverse osmosis where you collect water out of the atmosphere. It is clean water you can drink. Plug play machine, no drilling, no doing anything. Go check it out. What? Air Africa. Check out Air Africa. It's called Air Africa. It's a technology from France. I want to talk about the railway. You talked about it. The railway is coming. President said 9 months down the line, the railway will be here. But we went for the public participation. We stopped everything even after the contract was awarded until it is actually done and the people of Karen are happy. If you are there, I engaged the president directly and asked him not to allow anything happen before the public participation and the larger Karen community are in agreement of how They will be compensated for those who want their land, to give out their land where the railway will pass. So don't worry about it. I'm in charge. I'll make sure that before it happens, we are actually all in agreement to have the project done. The other thing I need you to understand is this notion that you people don't vote. That's why you might think that the political class don't care. I know you vote. And how I wish you knew how powerful you people are. Let me move to the podium. This is very important. This is very important because in a typical home in Karen, average lives 3 or 4 people, right? We are being told the numbers and the statistics, how big and powerful this group is, and the residents of Karen. We went to the elections with registered voters of 32,000 from Karen. And with the numbers you're talking about, I want to believe half of those are residents of Karen. And the day I was walking around during the election and the voting day, I saw people that I didn't actually campaign to, and they were online. And I got scared that, where have these people been? I'm losing this election because we didn't campaign. We didn't tell you what we were going to do. But I just wish you knew how powerful you as a community are. And when we come out as a political start and start delivering services, giving your demands and making sure that things move the way you want, you will be more powerful. And it will give you the reason to come out and even vote for some of us back. We just want to request you to walk with us this journey. When I came in, I wrote in the forum and asked, which are some of the roads that need urgent measures taken on them? As we speak, you saw what we did at Masai Road, and we even put the walkways the way they say. Now we are on Masai West. I've completed the work on Ekema Drive that is around Fair Acres. For the first time, the road around Stedmark is already done. I've completed the work at Kuinda Road. And if you are around, you've seen the heavy presence of Kura in our ward. It is not going to stop. There's a lot of requests, but we are actually working on them. The last thing before we close, I wish the CC Finance was here, because you pass the budget, he allocates the budget and move. And we don't have the timelines when the market is coming. It is true, the current roundabout is an eyesore. And the earlier we deal with it, the better. But let's talk about random women maybe along Karen Road, selling by the road, now coming right inside now our major roads within the neighborhood. And you see a Prado parked by the roadside buying from them. You see? Some of the problems are actually caused by us. If this woman didn't have anybody to buy from them, they would not be there. So some of us are also pushing the vendors to come now, leave even the current roundabout and come all the way into the neighborhood, because you are actually buying from them. If we stop that, they won't come. But we are dealing with the current roundabout. We met the people who funded us to work on the space that Samora talked about. We've met Vivo. We've met the team from the hub. And we want to say in the next few days, we will start the work down there. And once it is done, then it will be a reason to tell the matter to now move to that end. If I've never met you and talked to you, I just want to take this opportunity again. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to represent you into the 13th Parliament. Thank you for voting me in. I'm able to the task, and I will do everything possible for the first time to let the true residents of Karen feel that they have a representation and a leader who cares for them. Thank you so much.
Rhino Park.
Rhino Park, you didn't, just like we did last time, I requested the list. I can tell you Rhino Park was not one of them. So that's why sometimes these public participations are good. The residents of Rhino Park did not submit that space needed to be worked on. But now I know it. The team is going to work on the list. And on our allocations from Kera, we are moving, one of the first places we are moving to is the 3D lane. I don't know if there's anybody from 3D lane here. No, they are not here. But they requested. Rhino Park, and I have you on my mind. The next time we meet, it will be a different story. Thank you so much. Make sure that it is on the list. Make sure that it is on the list. Where? Now I leave that too. I leave that now to the team. We can't shout every single road right now. I might not know all of them, but I'll make sure that now we have the list from KLDA, and we will work on them, not even on any order of priority, but as funds come in, we will keep on working on the roads. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you. As we close on the roads, because it's a major concern, Beatrice, can you give Victoria's number? Victoria, no, you come. You know your number. You're the urban planner.
So I'm Victoria Wamu, the urban planner KLDA, and for any concerns, any development matters, any change of user, extension, any enforcement you need, you can call me. It's 0795 385 932. 0795 385 932. And we are right opposite where we are, Karen Connection, office number 26.
I think, so Victoria is the urban planner, and she deals with matters to do with change of user, noise, and so on and so forth. But one of the most important reasons why she needs to give her number is also because of the roads, as our MP has mentioned. So if your roads need fixing, we had already done a list, but I think it can be done again by you sending that name of the road to Victoria, and then we'll compile the list and forward it again to our MP. Say the number again.
0795 385 932.
Sean Avery, as we close, I'd just like you to speak for 2 minutes on matters to do with water. Sean is a water expert. I know we did not dwell too much on this, but as I say, this is the first Baraza, and we're learning as we go. We will allocate more time on it, but I must say also, as Sean is coming up to talk about the water, KLD did a water survey that our MP and MCA are aware about. Now, we did research, and 2,000 residents were interviewed. We needed to know, when we're addressing this water issue with Nairobi Water, we need to know who gets water, who doesn't get water, where is the pipes, and so on and so forth. Before I conclude on that water issue, Sean, maybe you can just give your knowledge.
Okay, I'm sort of a water and civil engineer, but I also sort of heavily involved in environmental type work. Before I go on to the water, one thing I'd like to comment on is the EIA process in Kenya is actually not carried out in the way it should be. The EIA process is supposed to be done before a project is launched. And that process involves actually showing people what alternatives exist for that particular project. And it's really important to go through that process, because through that public participation in those early stages of the project, the people then have an opportunity to influence the final project which is implemented before it is too late. Too often, the EIA is done after the event, somebody's already decided, and the consultant comes along, he asks a few questions. In the case of a project where I live in Karen, the EIA consultations were basically the flower sellers along the road at the bottom. None of the residents were consulted at all. So it's just not being treated seriously. And so actually, my view is that the EIA should be done during the feasibility stage of the project, not after it's been designed. And as Buona and Duarte said there, it's a single line on that map there. There may be 3 or 4 different alternatives to that railway, which should be considered and basically discussed with everybody. Anyway, that's, I'm actually, my license, my EIA, I am licensed by number. My number is number 15. And I looked today, and I'm probably the oldest person on that system. NEMA has since issued 11,000 licenses. Now, I personally don't do EIAs anymore because the system is abused. People come to me and say, can you get our license for us? And I say, no. If I do an EIA for you, my decision or my recommendation might be your project should not proceed. Have you ever heard of any EIA consultant in Kenya doing that? And of course, if people come to me and I say that, say, no, we don't want you. We're going to find a consultant who will get us the license. So actually, this process needs to be turned around. It's very important. And by doing it properly, we end up with people who are happy. Now, on the water, basically, I was also part of the master plan update team for the Nairobi water supply. The project today, as it stands, the Northern Collector project, is already delivering water to Ndakaini Dam. Ndakaini Dam has got plenty of water. But we've got to get that water from Ndakaini to Kibete, as the MP mentioned. The treatment works has been sitting for 2 years, ready, but the pipeline has not been complete. And some of the issues related to finishing, there's only half a kilometer left to complete to get that water to Kibete. And the issues which are usual, which are non-payment, and one of the big issues that always crops up these days is compensation when the pipeline is put through somebody's shamba, and all the delays that come with that. So actually, from a water point of view, I think it's very positive. The water sources have been developed, the water's getting to Ndakaini, the treatment works is ready. They just need to finish that last half a kilometer. But that gets the water to Kibete. Now, Karen is quite high up, so from Kibete, it's got to be pumped up to us. So the issues relating to getting the water up to us still need to be resolved. And I personally would be quite keen to get involved in looking into that in more detail. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Sean. As we conclude on that water issue, as I mentioned, KLD did a water survey where 2,000 of you as residents were interviewed. We've done a report. Mitch, you had it up there. It's a draft report. So what we did, we gave it to a water expert like Sean, who has analyzed that data. Now that data is what we're going to go with to Nairobi Water and Nairobi County. Because before, what has been happening in the Karen area is people saying we don't have water, but there are no statistics. So at least we now have the statistics. If it's on Silanga Road, there's no water, these are the statistics. These are how many people answered the questions on the interview or the questionnaire. If there's no water in this other particular area, these are how many people answered. This is the reason. There's no equitable distribution. So we have all this information now in statistics form. So for the first time, even though we're talking about the Northern Water Tunnel, Sean, even as we speak now, there are places in Karen that get water 3 times. Those are the statistics that we needed to do. And it took us about 4 months to do these interviews. There are places that I won't mention. I do not want to make somebody, unless we have an exodus to a particular place, but there are places that receive water 3 times. There are places that receive water 4 times a week. There are some places that have not received water since 1998. There are some places that have pressure and others that do not. So how did we know this? Through the water survey that we did. And that was the importance. So that when we were knocking on the MD, is Chris Njenga here? Chris Njenga mentioned water is life. And if we don't have life, we are death. So if we are meeting for this baraza and we are not talking about water, then what are we doing? We invited Nairobi Water, but unfortunately they did not come. Maybe there's a water shortage somewhere that they had to address. But because of the water survey that we have done, it will be fully analyzed, and I think, Sean, we can also rope you in that. We'll knock on these doors, and we'll say, Rhino Park, where Professor comes from, does not have water. These are the reasons. Either it's infrastructure, because there are some places that does not have infrastructure. So we needed those statistics, and for the first time, the association has done this water survey so that we're not just relying on what residents are saying. There are actually statistics to show. And maybe, Sean, if I can just explain to residents what you were trying to say. The water that comes from Dakaini and some of it from Sasamoa, if I'm not wrong, it goes to Kabete. So Karen is supplied water through those water sources and the Kikuyu springs as well. That was done in the early 1900s, and then we had Dakaini, then we had Sasamoa. I'm not sure which one comes first, either Sasamoa and then Dakaini. Now, there's this issue that we are waiting for the Northern Tunnel. But our question is, as a committee, through the water survey that we have done, is as we are waiting for this Northern Water Tunnel to bring in the 140 million or thousand, I'm not sure, million cubic, why is it that some areas are receiving 3 times, 4 times, and some areas none? So as we wait for the 0.5, you're saying, Sean Avery, maybe it's a Vision 2050 as well, we don't know. What we're trying to say, for now, can there be equitable distribution? The small that there is, we now need to make sure, even if it means everybody getting once. That's what we're trying to do. Maragu, Jalango, that's what we're trying to do. We will give that report once it's fully analyzed, and we'll share it with the residents. Maybe it may not have details of where gets water 4 times and where none, where other areas get none, but at least it will be able to show. It also has statistics on boreholes. Karen is the most densely boreholed area in Nairobi. When it comes to the laws, there were laws that stated that you should not have a borehole 400 meters or 300 meters or so. When we spoke to the water officials, they say that law was repealed. So that's where we are. As I said in the beginning, we will pass resolutions. We'll come back. I'm sure we'll come back and talk about water more once we have those statistics verified and once we have asked Nairobi County what to do. We have a very good senior lawyer amongst us, and they mentioned we will give the statistics. If they don't do something about it, even as we wait for the Northern Water Tunnel, KLD is good at legal matters. So we might have to go there because water is a constitutional right. Ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude, this is the most important part on the resolutions. And the first part that we talked about was noise. Kristen has given her number. She's given Kevin Oloiti tips. She's mentioned that they have a 24/7 response team. At least we know that now, because we in KLD were even offering, what is it that you want? Because in areas like Watamu and in areas like Kilifi, the residents associations have their own patrol cars. We were even thinking, should we introduce that in Karen? Should we introduce that in Karen? Because in Watamu, where I've had the opportunity to live for quite some time, the community there has sponsored 2 pro boxes. And these pro boxes do not only deal with crime, they deal with issues like this: noise pollution, 24/7 response, and so on and so forth. If Watamu is doing it, you want to tell me, Karen, we can't do it? Now, residents, even if we respond and say these are the things we do, we can do, we have to do them through a body, and that is KLDA. We need to all unite under KLDA, and I think this is how we're going to solve some of these issues. I've given you an example of noise. We can assist Christine and also the enforcement departments by also having our own mobility. In our next meeting, because this is the first one, we can discuss it more. We have also had our MP mention that he will personally assist. How? He has mentioned how he'll do it. We don't need to go to the nitty-gritties. If the law does not help, or the enforcement department seems not to be getting it right, at the very least, we have our last resort, which is the MP. And it's a good thing that we have him to assist. So on noise, I'm hoping that, and I'm not hoping, we're demanding that the next time we meet here after 3 months, we're not discussing noise, or we'll hold them to account. Nairobi County on public participation. It has been mentioned, Daktari, when you're away, that we must involve the Director of Public Participation and Dennis. There should be no public participation being carried out without them here. We do not want people being imported and claiming that they have come to do public participation for an EIA or a county function. We must involve them. And it's a good thing we also have our MP here. And as I had said, Maragu, I do not want to roast you too much, but we need to see you more. If Maragu writes a letter to the county, it has more weight. Mburu, where are you? It has more weight than Mburu's signature because he's our representative. So we're also putting him on the spotlight now that when public participations are happening, our MCA should be involved. Did he give his number? Does he need? Enforcement. He'll Maragu, give your number. Give your numbers and conclude on this.
No, I will come. No. I will come. I will visit. I will. Although even in Kuinda, the MP has been there just recently. I'm yet to visit soon. So I'll visit. I know in Muiri, I have a lady there called Esther. I know. And I update her. She keeps telling me about the road. The other day I was with the Kura Director General. I called her to update her, but I'll bring myself physically to all those areas. Thank you so much. So my office is also located in the Nairobi Water Building, opposite the police station. That's where my office is situated, on the ground floor. My number is 0711 555 996. Thank you.
You know, he's our MCA. We have to put him on the spotlight. We have to. Apart from the MP, before we go to the MP, we have to go to the MCA. So in 3 months, we'll need to be seeing that we have heard from him more. Urban planning, noise, and so on and so forth. And this is the importance of these meetings. The other thing that we've mentioned is the LPDP. Dr. Nyalita, I think you should take it to the governor. This one we are telling her direct to take it up. We have the funds. We have secured the funds. We want public participation done of all 40 neighborhoods associations in Karen to state what they want in terms of development. And that review of our local physical development plan can start. The chief officer of planning, who is also the county secretary, we've met him a couple of times with the gentleman you're sitting next to. It was in the stages for it to start. We spent money, about 300,000 shillings, to advertise in the paper that we are about to start, and the residents were ready to wait for you as the county and for us as KLD to organize public participations for them to say how Karen should develop. That time and resources that was used should not go to waste. We are willing to be a blueprint of other neighborhood associations. As they do the bigger plan, as the MCA was talking that they're getting funds for a vision of 2050, we want to plan now in 2024 for the next 5 to 10 years. So that LPDP is ready. We can start it. We can start that review. The other thing is a roundabout. I've mentioned KLD will do its bit. And we'll start with the PSVs. Once we prepare that site, whether it's Cabro or whether it's Maram, Maragu, Jalango, let us start with that. Rome was not built in a day, but we can start with that. Working closely with KLD and NCCG, Nairobi City County Government, I think that's a resolution that has been clearly stated that the KLD office needs to work closely with Nairobi County. The commuter railway line, our MP is heads with that. He's head on with that. And when the public participation is called at St. Christopher's very soon, every resident will be notified and we will be there to give our concerns, our approvals, our objections, you name it. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I want to thank all of you for coming for this meeting. I also want again to thank Kenya Power for sponsoring this event. And as we leave this meeting was made possible through an association called Karangata District Association, Karangata. And there are two ladies, Beatrice, where are you? Victoria. Come, quick. Our MP has said we close the meeting, quick. Victoria has introduced herself. We have Beatrice here, who handles general matters. They're the ones who have worked tirelessly to make sure that this event is a success. It's the first one. And what they only ask from you is by being a member of KLDA. If you're a current resident and you're not a member, we are here passing resolutions. This is the body that we can use to make sure that those resolutions are followed. I'm not begging. Don't get me wrong, I'm not begging. I'm just informing you that if you're here and you're not a member of the association, get to know what is needed, and it's not much. It's probably what you spend at Java, at Karen Blixen. Let me stop marketing some places. Here, behind me. This is all. Send your application form. Here are the details. This is the body that will make Karen remain the way it is. Or even better it. And it starts with here. As I said, we have 5,000 strong residents, as the MP said. And we can't be scattered. We have 40 neighborhood associations. We cannot be scattered. Let us all unite under KLDA. Thank you so much for gracing this meeting. I hope you have a lovely, lovely night, and we'll meet again to make sure that these resolutions are passed. Asante sana.